Fiancée wanted a prenup but changed her mind. I, 33 male, have been with my fiancée, 30 female, for 3 years now. She works for a big tech company and makes over 6 figures. I, on the other hand, work as a car mechanic and makes less than her. I proposed to her about 5 months ago, but she wanted to get a prenup. She feels that she worked hard to amass a certain level of wealth before the marriage, and that she wants to protect it, and I happily agreed. Last night, we got a draft of the prenuptial agreement and had to disclose the assets that we wanted to protect. That's when she found out my assets are worth 15 times more than hers, and how she wants to back out of the prenup. I told her no, especially since she wanted to protect her assets in case of a divorce, and I went through all this process to make it happen. It's okay if my assets are taken away from me, not okay if hers are taken? I felt that it was unfair. She said she felt deceived, that she didn't know that I had so much money saved, and we got into an argument about why I never brought it up. I told her that I didn't know how much money she had either, and asked her why did not disclose that to me. What do you guys think we should do? Now for the top advice. Bro, if she's mad that you have more assets than her now wants to back out, that is just more reason to get a prenup. Totally agree. She wanted to be secure until she found out she could get a better deal. Says a lot about her character that she suddenly wants to back out now. Laughing my butt off. Couldn't have said it any better. Her actions have exposed her true character. Not only does she want to back out of the prenup, but she's so mad that she hasn't even contacted you in over 18 hours. That would be a huge red flag for me. I'd start thinking about postponing/canceling that engagement. Woof. I would put the marriage on hold until you two have some really serious conversations in premarital counseling about all things financial. You might also make sure you get really deep into other taboo topics like children, work, life plans, politics, intimacy, living together, expectations, etc., in case you don't know each other as well as you think. Time will bear out whether it is a good relationship for your future. It also is a red flag that you haven't spoken in a while since the argument. Stonewalling typically not a healthy conflict resolution strategy. Good luck. This. Clearly, this couple doesn't know each other as well as they thought they did. Premarital counseling and a prenup are going to be absolutely essential for this relationship to work. No prenup is equal to no marriage. And if you have to argue about the prenup, then just end things with her. That's what I ended up telling her. It's been less than 24 hours since the argument, and we haven't communicated. OP, stick to this no prenup, no marriage. She seems shady because the second she found out, she backed out. If she continues to say no prenup, then tell her why not. You want to protect your assets and want to as well. Why don't you want to anymore? But hey, if you end up breaking up because she decided to be control freak now that she knows you're richer, we're here for you. Next story. My ex-girlfriend claims I mistreated her. The title says it all. I dated a girl for 6 months and things were great. But there were a few things about her that bothered me, which ultimately resulted in me breaking up with her. They were very simple things, like her not letting me see my friends, her trying to get me to quit my job, or her failed attempts at persuading me to switch my degree program to something easier so she could see me more. The clinginess really turned up to 100 towards the end of our relationship, and I had to call it quits. I told her that I needed to focus more on myself because these years of mine are very critical for my future, and perhaps we can try again later in life. Throughout our entire relationship, I was very passive, actually. She steered the ship entirely, made all the decisions. She chose where we went out to eat, whose house we were at that day, down to the clothes I would wear and the songs we would listen to. This never sat right with me, and I always knew the relationship would end badly. She forced herself into my family way too early as well. The reasoning behind it was she needed a good family life, because hers was not too great. She has experience with mistreatment from her mother. Anyway, she would text my parents and sister regularly, constantly asking them to go out for dinner and whatnot. I did not like this because 6 months is not a long enough time period to begin hanging out with my family separately from me. Thankfully, my family had seen through this and felt just as uncomfortable as I did. I confronted her about it, and her response was along the lines of, "Don't you want to get married someday? How else are we supposed to get to that point if I don't become friends with your family?" I had never stated I wanted to marry her or ever expressed feelings of a long-term relationship with her. In fact, I had informed her that I simply do not speculate to that degree with anything, especially relationships. Needless to say, she took this as me leading her on. Often, she would tell me how much I cannot do things, how much I cannot afford my car, cannot afford school, or how much she thinks that I won't be happy in the future with the path I'm taking. Unfortunately for her, she never knew my income, never knew the details of my education, or really had any clue what my true future plans are. These are things I keep fairly private to myself. I once told her that I wanted to move out of state. Her response to that was extremely negative, and quite frankly, hurtful. This is why I do not tell people things like that, not even my own girlfriend. Upon ending our relationship, I did it over text. I am not one to reason with people in situations like this, and I am very much a pushover at the sight of tears. However, I was far more afraid of the physical response. She had never hit me before, but I have seen the way she explodes when she gets emotional. Perhaps I just did not want to deal with the situation on a face-to-face level. Instantly, she began to tell me I mistreated her and never listened to her. She explained that, basically, by not doing everything she requested of me, dropping classes, quitting my job, selling my car, that I was insensitive to her beliefs and was going rogue. Apparently, this constitutes throwing around the term abuse. But to me, this devalues that term entirely. There are women and men who go through so much trauma with their significant others, so much pain and suffering, unimaginable pain and suffering. Why would she ever say this? Immaturity? My fear is that she will go around telling people that I was horrible to her from now on. Things circulate rapidly in my college town. Each and every day we, thankfully, take mistreatment more and more seriously, as we must do, and it significantly destroys the offender's life, as it should. But what if she continues to tell people that I was that person? What if school hears about this? What if my job does? What would the police have to say about it in the event her words make their way to them? I do not want to have my life completely derailed over a false claim. I also do not like that term being devalued. My best friend has already told me she sent him a large text containing a narrative on me mistreating her. He just blocked her phone number and went straight to me. This isn't fair to me because, if anything, I was the one mentally mistreated for months, and I never had my chance to confront her about it. It took one for her by just breaking up with her, and this is how she repays me? I have kept my mouth shut in regards to her because I do not talk about exes negatively. What should I do? Just remain calm and hope for the best? Odds are nothing bad will come from it, but more needs to be said on the topic of false claims. Was her claims via text? If so, don't delete it. Basically, the way you worded it almost sounds like an admission of guilt. You mistreated me by not doing everything I told you to do, and you went rogue. That's not a mistreatment. If it's not via text, there are two options you can take that I see. 1, do nothing. Your character can leave it up for others' judgment call. If they want to distance themselves from you and you give your defense, so be it. Second thing you can do, try to get ahead of it. Can you contact someone that works at the school about the situation? Explain to them that she's attempting to weaponize the claim simply because you chose to break up with her. A third viable option might be to text her and get her to reply through text. I just want a clean breakup. How is that abusive? Or something like that. Her claim is an attempt to control you. Reading your email, her control is a theme. Everything she's going to do moving forward is an attempt to assert control. Best way to thwart this is 0% contact. Save the text, ignore her, and 0 contact. You may want to reach out to those close to you, parents, friends, etc., and let them know your ex is taking things badly and may reach out. I'd also let your manager/HR department know. Keep it simple. You ended a personal relationship and your ex didn't take it well, and you are concerned they will reach out in an attempt to damage your reputation. You might also want to research a lawyer, in case she makes the accusations public or goes to the police. It's doubtful she will take it to that level, but if the police show up at your door, you want to have a number to call immediately. If she goes public, you want to consult with them on appropriate responses. Just block her and everything and ignore her. You can't control what she does, and if she wants to waste her life trying to control people, that's on her. If she has any friends or family, maybe reach out to them and make them aware that she's being like this, but that you've cut off contact. Most likely, anyone in her life knows the way that she is. Especially share this post. That's pretty much all you can do. Sorry you're dealing with us. Most likely, anyone in her life knows the way that she is. You can usually count on people to have common sense. Let the loud people be loud, and at least 80% of people will be normal enough to realize what's going on. Just stay out of it. Last story is titled, Feeling Unappreciated by My Partner, female 28, and I'm male 34, not sure if I want to continue my relationship of 7 years. So, I've been feeling pretty down about my relationship recently, especially the last 12 months. I feel that my partner takes me for granted and doesn't appreciate what I do for her. I've noticed she has become a lot more nitpicky in the last 12 months, to the point I'm fearing doing things to upset her. We are polar opposite in terms of personality. I'm more introverted while she's very outgoing. I know she has hated this pandemic situation as she feels trapped at home, with rolling lockdowns, etc., but I don't see that as an excuse for her behavior. Examples are, I'm fortunate to be working from home during our latest lockdown. She physically has to go to work, which seems to resent me for. She thinks that I spend all day doing nothing, when in reality I have back-to-back meetings from the morning until I finish work. I've been doing all the housework recently over the last month. Cleaning, cooking, shopping, laundry, managing household bills, you name it, I've been doing it. I don't mind as I don't have a commute now. I have some extra time after work to do these things. However, she is really not appreciative. Rather than thank me for cooking dinner, she will make complaints. This needs more salt, or I wanted a vegetarian meal. Despite me asking her during the day if what I had planned for dinner was okay. She will complain if I don't immediately clean up after dinner. This morning, she woke up in a foul mood over a trivial problem she has to address at work. Complained I hadn't made lunch for her because we were out of food. I offered to go shopping last night, but she said she would get something at work. She made a parade of finding some things to scrape some lunch together. Took the coffee I made her and stomped out the door without saying goodbye. This had been a recurring issue for a while now. We have had a lot of great experiences over the last 7 years. Traveled the world together, all my friends and family know and adore her. But this side of her when we are alone, I don't know if I can tolerate this kind of behavior for the rest of my life, and it makes me incredibly sad. When she's having one of her meltdowns, I'll repeat what she has just said to me. Another example is I can't physically visit my friends because of lockdown restrictions. They wanted to play some video games together for an hour a few nights ago to catch up. Some of my closest friends have some serious mental issues, and I always like to check up on them, especially during these times. She lost it, saying I was just stuffing around and not paying attention to her. So I repeated back that I had cooked dinner for her, cleaned up, spent hours talking to her about her day and problems, and want to spend 1 hour talking to my friends who I haven't seen in a month is unreasonable. She then said, "You always make me sound like I've been a crazy girlfriend," when in my head I feel like she's being a child and unreasonable. If I go spend that hour with my friends, she will then be pissy and give me the silent treatment for the rest of the night for pointing out she was being a brat. Sorry for the rant, but I'm just feeling really horrible at the moment, and not sure what to do. I do love her dearly, and she can be incredibly caring and loving, but this behavior is becoming more common, and I don't know what to do. Now for the advice. Sounds familiar to me. My ex had an avoidant attachment style, and you might be dealing with something similar. We were together for about 5 years, and it was great at first, but as the years went on, she pushed me away, and I'm still heartbroken. I subsidized her lifestyle and ability to pursue her career of choice, and did my absolute best to keep our place clean, even though I am extremely messy. That was never enough, and I was never enough. Her career always came first. I would feel the same fear when she would get home at the end of the day, and I just started drinking a ton, which was no help. I left her and moved to a city that I actually wanted to live in. During the breakup, she told me that she had feelings for someone else and almost immediately moved in with them, on the other side of California. You should not have to live in fear of never meeting her expectations. I'm single now, and it sucks and is depressing in other ways, but I do what the heck I want, so there is that. Same. Married 7 years to a woman with an avoidant attachment, and sounds very similar to me. I'm much happier now. This passive-aggressive BS of giving you the silent treatment, making a big production about meals, etc., is not acceptable under any circumstances. There's only one reason for doing that. It is to hurt your partner intentionally. Do not stand for that. My guess is that she's unhappy, and the way she's feeling is manifesting as this type of terrible behavior. It's perfectly reasonable for you to expect her to behave like an adult and to express the way she's feeling instead of being immature and disrespectful. I would suggest that you ask her to sit down and talk about. Start with asking how she feels and if there's anything she wants to talk about that's making her unhappy/frustrated/angry. Explain how you feel and how her behavior makes you feel. Try not to position it as, this thing you do is awful, and just focus on how you feel in this or that scenario. COVID and endless lockdown is hard on people, particularly if they're very social and extrovert. But it's no excuse to behave poorly and treat the person who you care about the most worse than everyone else. I know she is unhappy. I've discussed it at length with her. A lot of the things she is unhappy about are out of my control, so I'm not sure what to do. She wants to travel, but obviously that is off the cards right now. I've planned a trip with her next month interstate, but there is anxiety if even that will be going ahead. She is also trying to get a more senior role in her organization. She has had 3 interviews for different positions and hasn't got them. These positions are very highly competitive, especially with COVID. My dad always told me to be with someone who you wanted to go through the worst of times with, not just the best of times. This helped me get out of an emotionally horrible relationship I was in, and it was amazing how much better I felt once I made space from that constant negativity. It's funny the way it went down. Was one day she was just so mad and being so mean to me for not being able to hear her from the bathroom, and I just left. The next month was hell. Crashing at friends' apartments, then staying with family for a week, figuring out how to get my stuff together. But I did. And now sometimes I wonder how I ever even ended up in a relationship like that. But it happens. Good luck, man.